Hi, I'm Rebecca with Cherish Children Ministries. Welcome back to my channel. There is a free live webinar coming up. If you want to click the link below, I will see you there. So the first reflex that I actually want to talk to you about is the Moro Reflex or the startle reflex. This reflex develops about the 13th week of gestation, and it develops to help protect the baby from danger when it's sensed through the sensory system. It also helps the baby take the very first breath of his or her life. So when a newborn is startled or receives sensory input like a jarring or a sudden light or sound, the arms will flare up and the legs will move quickly, and they take a really deep breath and then they curl up, crossing both the arms and the legs. So this is actually involuntary. This reflex is part of normal development, and it should actually disappear between 2 and 4 months. Now, because this reflex is triggered by the sensory systems, it can cause a wide range of problems if it does remain. Typically, your pediatrician will check for the reflex at the baby's 6-week visit and make sure that it is present. However, later on in those well visits, they're not really checked as much, so you might want to check to make sure that it is gone as part of the regular appointment. Just ask them and they usually will. There are a lot of reasons why this reflex may be retained, but because of our changing environment and our different procedures that we're having in today's time, and we just have lack of tummy time, we're seeing more children that are just not integrating this reflex. The retained Moro reflex symptoms are these. They can be easily distracted, hypersensitive to sensory stimuli like light and sound and even touch. They have an oversensitivity to motion, which causes car sickness or motion sickness, or undersensitivity to sensory stimuli. They might overreact or have impulsive or aggressive behavior. They might have emotional immaturity or withdraw or be timid and perhaps shy. Oftentimes we see ADD, ADHD, autism spectrum disorders, Asperger's, sensory disorders, difficulty making friends, depression even, health issues, allergies, and even asthma. We also see anger or emotional outbursts or poor balance and poor coordination, poor digestion, and food sensitivities. Even if these kids don't display any of the symptoms, it is a good idea to go ahead and do a quick assessment on them. The Moro reflex or the startle reflex is actually the earliest development of the fight or flight instinct. So when a child is frightened or threatened, it triggers that reaction. Now, because in infancy it is triggered by the sensory system, it will actually cause sensory processing problems if it's not integrated. Because it does trigger the adrenals to fight or flight mode, it actually causes hyperactivity and attention problems. And once the adrenals quickly tire of the overstimulation, then the child usually develops chronic allergies and asthma, autoimmune, and other health problems that are connected with the fatigued adrenals. And also, when the body is in fight or flight mode, the brain is in an instinctual state that cannot store or recall information very well. And this actually contributes to learning disabilities. This reflex can be easily integrated, and it only takes about 6 weeks of very simple exercises. Many of the symptoms will disappear or improve as the brain and the body start to function better. And that's really what I like to do, is focus on the function instead of the symptoms, because symptoms oftentimes lie, but the functions will not. So I actually teach parents and educators how to do this, how to test their child's brain, the right, the left, and also the primitive reflexes for functions, because that's how we get to the root of the problem. And I have a course out on that, and you can find more information on that by clicking the link below if you're interested in that. The Moro Reflex Test. How do you test to see if it's not integrated? We want to make sure they're retained, like they're not being used anymore. And the best way to do that is to actually use them. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have the child sit in a low chair or lie on their back. And then you're going to ask them to open their arms and their legs out like a starfish by swinging their arms up and out and thrusting his legs out while extending the head back and then opening the hands. You're going to have him hold this position for 5 to 7 seconds while holding his breath. This is very important. Then you're going to tell the child to go ahead and exhale and return to the same position, crossing the left wrist and the left ankle over the right wrist and right ankle. Then you're going to repeat this again until they are back to the original position. And you're going to do this 6 times in a row, a few times a day, until the reflex is fully retained. If your child is younger and doesn't know right or left, that is okay. All I do for the students and children that I work with is I just put a sticker, a small sticker, on the side, the wrist and the leg that I want them to cross over, and then I'll take those stickers off and put them on the opposite side of the wrist and the ankles. Typically what we see is some combination of that. We will see the right arm on top of the left arm, but the left leg on top of the right leg. So that's how we know that it's not integrated, and you can actually just practice. So it's very easy to do and it doesn't take very long. It just takes a little bit of commitment each day to make sure that it gets accomplished. A few things to remember about this. The exercises need to be repeated 5 to 10 times until the reflex is retained. Frequency is actually more important than intensity. So I like to have a chart on my refrigerator for my own kids because I just like to know that I've done something every day. Instead of going really hard once a week, I like to do a little something every day, even if it's not as intense. Movement needs to be slow and purposeful, and you need to have a proper mindset. It's really important. If the child is cranky or irritable, just don't do it that day. Stay motivated, stay positive, give it time, and try again the next day. So thanks for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share it with your friends. Maybe they can use it as well. Thank you for watching.